It's Jean Nolan here. Thank you so much for joining us for this impromptu live stream. I'm going to wait for a few people to jump on here so we can talk about what we can all expect over the next few months. And also, as a full, let's jump into it. The only way out of all of this is right through it. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to start this live stream like every other live stream we've done in the past 2.5 years or so. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, and we're free. These are not empty, hollow, shallow words. We need to really embody this. We're healthy, wealthy, whole, and free. Thank you so much, Johnny, for joining us. Christine's, of course, in the live chat. The wise thumbs in the live chat answering, welcoming everyone. Always right there. Lakeside Laura, good to see you. I see people are jumping on here. I'd love to see some new faces, some new names. Little Light Warriors here, not a new name whatsoever. Dragons, Guardian, Crystal Hearts, good to see you. TMA, Jan is here. Flourishing Spirits from New Mexico. That's on our bucket list to go there too. John, good to see you. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you everybody for jumping on. So let's jump into it. What can we expect over the next months? I want to start this with something that we can never ever forget about. That is balance. When we look at all of this, it's always two particular sides that we need to look at these things from. And one is our spirit, right? The spiritual balance and all of this is extremely important. I'm going to get into this. And then, of course, there's the physical balance and the how we prepare in the outside world. So basically, to go into what we can all expect, of course, this is just my projection from my observations, from trusted sources, from intuition, from what we discuss with Christine and what we both see coming. One thing is so clear, and on the one hand, we're celebrating this. On the other hand, it is a tiring process. I totally get that a lot of us feel that tiring process. But what we're celebrating is the downfall of this old slave system that we've all been living in for the longest time. And this is something that actually Christine and I expected over 10 years ago. 2010, 2011 was a time when we expected for this to fall. We do believe it's actually been an artificial life support ever since. I don't think it's really been authentically in place. It's an artificial life support. What do I mean by that? The financial/economic system was designed to collapse. That's the mathematical certainty because it's a debt-based system. And we don't have, believe it or not, we don't really have an instrument to reduce debt. And as soon as the economy stops growing, we cannot satisfy interest payments anymore. This is a simple explanation of what is going on, but what is really happening is we're reaching the mathematical end of a system. It was set up, central bank system, debt-based fiat currency system was set up here with the Federal Reserve in 1914 and in other places at different times, but it's the same outcome. So this must collapse, and it was designed to collapse. And we're seeing this happening in all fields. So what we can expect over the next months, and I'm going to look specifically a little bit into the United States and Europe, where I have the most knowledge, experience, and the best sources. I assume in other places it's going to be somewhat different, but not from a principle standpoint. This system is going down everywhere. If we look into Europe, we feel it's being done really through right now extreme energy price hikes up to 700% more in a year-to-year comparison from 2021. Everything is being intensified in a public debate, and really the climate story is pushing the whole thing. Energy troubles and Ukraine, Russia, the gas shortage, and all of these things, that's how it's being propelled there. It also has a greater impact in Europe because European, especially Central European societies and governments are truly more on the socialist Democrat side, if you will. So people are used to a very generous welfare state, social net that they have, a lot of stuff is being subsidized. Families get a lot of benefits from the government, even in, I would say, even in higher income brackets. So people are feeling these changes and they're more dependent on the government. That's why it's being pushed harder through that avenue. In the United States, we're approaching a crucial election in November, and we can almost see an odd calm before the storm. It is, although a few things have happened that are big, but for the most part, um, the general pace is far too calm for this late stage in the game. The midterm elections are in November. These are probably the most important and significant midterm elections in the history of this country, I would assume, with everything that's going on. So what we can assume here is, because of this calm, I just assume that behind the scenes attention is building, and they are building up attention. So I would say we're definitely in for, feels like, for an October surprise. However, it's not going to be a surprise for many people because they are awakening and aware of these tactics. They don't fall for the traps anymore. So this is the positive side, right embedded into the whole projection here. The positive side is so many people are not falling for these things anymore. They don't turn on their TV. They don't watch the CNN and the MSNBC and the ABC and the Fox and all those crappy, controlled Project Operation Mockingbird channels. People are aware of what is happening. So these surprises, I would only caution. The only thing I can feel is how you get really people's attention is with something extraordinarily big, and that's why I'll get to the how we can maybe soften the blow of that, or maybe even prevent this. What I'm saying is the projection is a continuation of of the falling down of the system. That's just what's happening, and I want to emphasize, I am celebrating this. I don't like how it's happening. I don't like the suffering that people are going through. I don't like what's been done because it didn't have to be this way. It could be a smooth transition into a beautiful, all-inclusive, wonderful system that would actually be in harmony with each other, with nature. That all is very possible. It's all here. Of course, what's happening now is from the viewpoint of these people in the background, dark people or dark entities in the background. They're crashing this system to bring in their new one, the New World Order system or Great Reset system. I don't believe this is going to happen the way they planned it to. I don't see it that way. But on the other hand, we are going through this. So what can we do on the physical level? We talk about this. We would encourage everyone to do what they can to prepare for an very unusual event, just like you would for a very strong blizzard or you would for a storm. Do the best you can. And in terms of food and water, and if you can, power, community, create groups, talk to each other, help each other, share resources, share information, think it through. Think of a prolonged power outage because of a storm. What would you need to get by, right? What would you need to have the basics? And oftentimes it helps when you talk to family that is maybe more aware, neighbors, friends, create groups, a lot of synergies there. So that's on the physical preparedness level. There's a lot more depending on what your also financial background is. What will you do? Think about it. What will you do with your money? There is, there's going to be the devaluation of the dollar, of the euro, and other currencies. Maybe not at the same time, but I assume it's going to be like a domino effect. It might begin in the United States. There's a lot of theories around that. I don't want to project any dates, but it's sooner rather than later. So tangible goods, things that store value, as the value system will change, we still will need certain things, products and necessities. So storing a value rather than a whole lot of money in physical goods and tangible goods, real estate, when I'm saying really land or house, stuff like that. Some people go into precious metals. Gold and silver historically have been a pretty good value storage. Again, this is not a recommendation. This is more looking back what has worked in the past. Just stuff to look into, stuff that we do as well. Oh, thank you so much, Ananda I Davor. Iz Hrvatske, kako ste, prijatelji? Hvala vam puno. Hvala vam puno. 50 kuna. Thank you so much for 50 kuna. We really appreciate it. Miss Croatia. We haven't been in a while. It's actually where Kristin and I got married, a special place for us. Spend a lot of time in Croatia. Know most every island, and it's a home away from home for me. So that all being said, let's get into the even more important part, because now we're getting into what actually determines more than anything what's going to happen, and that is our state of being. And that, by that I mean our vibrational state of being. The plan is on the writing is on the wall. You don't have to be now a magician. You don't have to be a psychic to look into the future. These entities, as David Icke has said so beautifully, in 2020 they've walked into the room. The door, the door is shut behind them. The lock clicked. They're in the room. Everybody sees them. Whether that's the World Economic Forum, whether that's the Rockefeller Foundations and the Gates Foundations and the various governments that are included and are playing this game, we all know what their end game is now. It's a social credit system. It's a new world order, centralized government, top-down control, AI, and trans and post-humanism. That is the timeline they have. But they are all in the room. We know this. What we can do in this, because they want to create as much chaos as possible. They want to keep people in a state of fear and worry. And when that does not work, their plan doesn't work. This is such a crucial thing to understand. It is just a plan. It is just an idea that they have. It's a vision that they have. It isn't set in stone. It doesn't have to happen. Just because someone makes a plan doesn't mean it has to happen. As a matter of fact, many people make plans that never happen, because the majority of people do not want that life. They don't want a system like that. If you ask them, if you give it to them openly, if you say this is what they want to do you want a life like that? They'll say no, the vast majority of people. But because they're not aware, and because they don't connect the dots as well yet, we are in this twilight zone now. So the state that we are in spiritually, where we put ourselves every day, the balance, the wonderful, beautiful balance, if this is our greatest intention every day, it cannot happen, because this is a system of chaos. They want to build it on chaos and division and warfare and fight. But if we are not in an internal state of chaos and warfare and fight, but we're in balance and harmony and kindness and love, and also conviction of our own vision, a true conviction, we project great strength into the field. We project great strength to each other. We project great strength towards these very small nefarious groups, and their plans cannot come to fruition. That's a universal law. It is a law of vibration. And that is so important to remember in all of this, that we can lead through this with our state of being. And that if we understand that that is the most important thing, because even if you look at this, like we've often said, we are at war. But if you go to war in an unbalanced state, you're off kilter. You will fall. If you go in a balanced state, if you go in an inner harmonious state, you have access to all your faculties. You have access to all your abilities, all your skills. You don't react from a fight or flight mode. You react from a conscious mode, where you have strength, where you have creativity, where you have solutions. When you are in fear, worry, and doubt, you are in fight or flight mode, and you only have those two options. You either run or you fight. Both are not very creative. Sometimes, very, very seldom in life, they're necessary, but they're not creative. They don't provide you with creative solutions for complex problems. So that's why when we go within and when we balance ourselves, and when that becomes the most important thing, whether that's deep prayer and you connect with your creator that way, or you call it meditation, or you call it walking, or you call it being, or you call it joy, or playing music, creating art, whatever puts you in that state of balance that is not artificially induced. So I'm not talking about drugs or alcohol or substances. We absolutely do not advocate for that. Substances, even when people say about, that weed puts them in that state or whatever, I just don't buy the story that we need it. I'm not saying, you shouldn't, you got to do what you want to do, but I'm saying I don't think we need it. I think we have a cannabinoid system in our body. We can activate these things without substances. It's just a matter of practice. But that is really what's going to determine what the demeanor will be and in what state we're going to go through this next stage. Because when we do not fall into a state of panic and chaos, peace will transpire in our world. Yes, the system will transform. Yes, we will have a very uncertain time because it will look and feel different than what we're used to. Certain products, certain services won't be available. Certain things will be very different. But if we remain peaceful in the strong knowing that this is necessary and that we are co-creating something much more beautiful, we can get through this in a strong way, in a connected, unified way. That is, to me, the most important thing. So that's why your state of being determines your life more than anything else, but it also determines our collective experience more than anything else. That's why I encourage you over and over again, quit the news if you haven't yet. Quit watching these things. If you go to a trusted source because you feel inspired to receive a certain piece of information, yes, I believe that's a conscious choice. You go, you do it, you listen, you watch, you take what you feel is important for you. You consciously comprehend the information, make a choice if need be, and then move forward. We don't need to be exposed to the chatter and the mind farts of the media and politicians every day. Most everything of what they say isn't true, but it's the problem isn't it's just lie. It's fear. It's mongering. It's horror pictures, and people are talking about civil war, and people. None of this is necessary. None of this is necessary. But the people need to come together in a very balanced and peaceful state. That's our task. That's what and we need to teach our, the younger generation coming up, the teenagers now. So many of them have no way of coping with any challenge. They are constant distraction in their phones. Drugs are so readily available, legal, illegal, all the same thing, just a different definition. Alcohol, they are escaping from coping with anything. So when we shine our lights, when we go balanced into the world, that's what they see. They see balanced adults, they see balanced beings, and they follow that energy that they truly do. As a father of three, we've raised three children. Children they never do what you say. They do what you do. They follow what you do and what you are, not what you're saying. I mean, how many people do you know that have parents that smoked and told their children not to smoke and turned out to be smokers? Well, yeah, they watched their parents smoke. So, it's really bad for you to smoke. Well, what are you going to do? You've been watching me smoke for 18 years. You're going to be a smoker. So often. So we lead with our energy. We lead with our spirit. We lead with our balance. And people go for that because it feels good, because it feels wonderful when they can have the choice between balance and between chaos, between harmony and peace, or warfare and fight. They're going to go for harmony and peace. We're naturally wired that way. So let you and I and all of us, let us be the beautiful example of this harmony and lead through these times. Let's be prepared on all levels. It would be unwise not to. Anticipate disruptions, anticipate the things that are coming. That's just the way it is. We've talked about this. There are many ways to do this. We'll continue to talk about it. Keep it fresh in our minds so we all stay vigilant, but more than anything, peaceful, harmonious, and really releasing the power within. And you can only do that when you connect with the Creator. However the Creator looks for you, it really doesn't matter. It's energy, it's spirit, it's the universal creative force that creates everything. And that connection, when we're in that connection, how could we get lost? If we're connected to the creator that created everything, how could we be lost? How could we be wrong? How could we be on a destructive path? We can't. So that to me is really the key. So the only way out of the current state we're in is right through. Go with the spirit, go with your intuition, and make this the most important thing of every day. In the morning, sit down. Even when your brain starts rattling all the things you want to do, you got to do, you feel inspired even to do, but still get that half hour of peace, of quiet, of calm, really connect, go into your spirit, establish this, and the rest will fall beautifully into place, will be much more harmonious. And of course, I'm reminding myself of that constantly. I love the doing part of it. I love the doing part of life. I love coming on here. I love sharing with you guys. Some days I go, well, I'm doing a live stream here at Locals, then I'm going to do this here, and then I'm recording a beautiful interview there, and we're all jumping on a million things. And Kristin in the background is setting up a gazillion things. We love the doing part. Don't get us wrong. We're very inspired to do that. But it comes from the being part. And when we skip that part, none of the other stuff works and comes to fruition. I think that was it. I think that's what I wanted to share. We are getting pretty full for the auto retreat that's coming up. So a few spots are left. We're excited about this group that's coming together beautifully. That's from September 29th to October 2nd. We're going to meet in Cape San Blas, Florida, with a beautiful group of people. I can feel it. I can sense it, to create a true energy shift. And that's what we always say. We cannot change your lives, period. We cannot change your lives in a weekend, and we cannot change your lives, period. You do that. But together we can create an energy shift. We can have the experiences together that trigger this change and that give it a lot of power, a lot of tailwind. And that's what we want to do through deep breath work, deep meditations, through exercises and practices that will elevate us beyond our comfort zones, that will push us into greater, deeper realms of existence, of being, and show us the true potential that's within. That's what we love to do. And when you show up for this, when you decide to be a part of this, then because you are truly inspired, because only then will it work and will it be fruitful. That's why we say, if you feel inspired, if this speaks to you, if you want to be a part of it, there's a few spots left. We truly want a group of people that is ready to do it. I mean, that's why we say, if you're just like halfway there, maybe not, no, you gotta really, really, really desire it. You gotta want it. And so if that speaks to you, please send us an email to info@inspiredchannel.net. Put Yato, that's the name of the retreat, YATO, in the subject line, and we'll send you all the information, when, where, what, how to sign up, all of that. And we'd love to have you. Again, a few spots left. We assume that's going to, fill up soon. But follow your intuition, your inspiration on that. All right, Inspired Tribe, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. I can't wait to get through the live chat, see what you're all saying here on, on YouTube and on Rumble. And thank you for being a part of this family. You mean the world to us. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll be back with you again very, very soon.